and welcome. In this video, let's understand what are the different ways to pass parameters using Dapper. If you see in my database, I have this employee table, and when I'm executing this query, select star from employee where department is equal to sales and salary is greater than 62,000. When I execute this, I get two records. So basically here I am passing two parameters. One is sales and one is 62,000. Let's go to Visual Studio and try to execute this same query in Dapper. I have opened up my Visual Studio. So now let's create the SQL query here. So this is my SQL query. Here I am passing two parameters, department and salary. Now let's try to execute this. Okay, so I have created this SQL query and I'm executing this SQL query using the query method. And after that, I am iterating through the result and printing the first name of the employee that we have received here. Okay, but you can notice here, currently I'm not passing any value to my parameter. So now let's try to pass this parameter to this SQL query. One way is by using the dynamic parameter. For that, we need to create an instance of dynamic parameters. Once you have the instance, you can use parameters.add method to add the relevant parameters. So I have used the dynamic parameters and I have added the department and salary parameter, and I've also specified the value for those parameters, sales and 62,000. And finally, let's add this parameter to our query method. So after the query, I'll pass these parameters here. Now let's try to run the program. As expected, we have received the two employee names, that is Michael and Matthew. And if you see in the database, this was the same result that we were getting here. So our program is working as expected. So this was the first way to pass the parameter. Here we have used the dynamic parameter. Second way to pass the parameter is by using a dynamic object. So let's create a dynamic object. So I have created a dynamic object. Here I have passed the department and salary like this. Now let's run the application. And as expected, we have received the same result. So this is the second way to pass the parameters. The third way is by using a dictionary. So let's create an instance of dictionary and pass the data. Okay, so I have created a dictionary of string as the type of the key and object as the type of the value. And I have added two items in my dictionary. First is department and second one is salary. After doing this, what we can do, we can pass this dictionary to our dynamic parameter instance. So I have created an instance of dynamic parameters and I have passed the dictionary to this object. All right, and I am passing down this dynamic parameters to my execute method. Let's run the program again. And again, we are getting the same result. So this is the third way to pass the parameter. This method is useful when you have a lot of parameters, because using dictionary, you can add the parameters easily. And once your dictionary is ready, you can pass down that dictionary to the dynamic parameter collection. This way, your code will look more clean and more readable. The next way that we will discuss is by using a template. So we can create a template of employee object and pass down that to our dynamic parameters. Let me show you how. So what I have done, I have created an object of employee class and I have initialized the values here, department and salary. And I have passed down that template to my dynamic parameters. Let's try to run the application and see if we're getting the expected result. Again, we are getting the same result. Basically, the properties that I have initialized here, department and salary, will be passed down to this SQL query. Because of that, we will get the same result that we were getting before. So this is another way. Here we are passing template to our dynamic parameters, and using those dynamic parameters, we are executing the SQL query. Let's look at this particular query. Here we are executing this query and passing down this particular where clause where department in sales and IT. When I execute this query, I am getting all the employees who are belonging to sales and IT departments. To execute this kind of query, let's see what we can do. So I have changed my SQL query here and I have used this at the rate depth names. Basically using this parameter, I will be passing down the list of departments that I want to search. In this example, we are searching for sales and IT department. Okay, after this, let's first remove this piece of code. We can create a dynamic object. So what I have done this time, I have created a dynamic array and I have added sales and IT in that array. Once that is done, what we can do, we can pass down this department names array to our query method. Let's see how. After SQL, I will say new and I will copy the parameter name which I'm giving here, that is department names, and I will put it equal to department names, which is nothing but our dynamic array which we have created here. After this, we can try to execute our program and see if it is working or not. So our program is running and we are receiving 5 records here. And if you notice in database also, there were 5 records that we were getting. So our program is working as expected. And that's it for this video, guys. In the next video, we will try to understand how we can execute SQL functions using Dapper.